Ashes of the Last Dragon. Prologue, a reckoning of flames. I can taste the rain on the wind, smell its electric tension coursing through the storm clouds roiling overhead. The Slayer approaches, his heartbeat drumming through the very stones below me, and I coil my body tight against the mountainside, talons carving into the ancient rock. My wings, battered and scarred from battles long past, stretch wide to blot out the lightning-tinged sky. He is close. I feel the heat of his blade even before I see him, steel forged by blood and alchemy. It glows with an unnatural brilliance, as if fueled by the greed and hatred of men. Perhaps it is. They have all come to fear my existence, twisting our ancient pacts into something hateful. They are determined to erase my kind from history. I will not let them forget the weight of this choice. The thunder cracks. In the strobing light, he stands at the edge of the precipice, a solitary figure against the swirling mists. For a moment, neither of us moves. My breath rumbles in my throat, stirring embers that dance around my fangs. I see in his eyes no hesitation, no doubt, only the cold, lethal resolve of a warrior come to slay a monster.
"Dragon,"
he calls, voice echoing off the cliffs.
"Your age ends tonight."
His words drive a spike of anger through my heart. We once lived in peace, human and dragon, bound by respect and treaties older than any mortal city. But ignorance and fear shattered that accord. Now, all I see is another human warrior, blade raised, carrying out the final blow in a war they do not fully understand. I roar, the thunder of my fury shaking loose stones from the crags. My spine tail whips around, and I leap from the rock shelf with talons extended. The Slayer's sword answers with a burst of white flame, crashing against my scaled chest. Pain crackles across my hide, but I force myself to surge forward, jaws snapping inches from his face. He ducks under my roar and slashes again, splitting scales that have never been pierced. The blade leaves a trail of searing agony along my side. Lightning flashes overhead, revealing the blood dripping from my wounds, a vivid, molten red that hisses when it hits the ground. "You cling to your illusions," I snarl, each word vibrating through the deep timbre of my throat. "You hunt me out of fear. You have unleashed something far worse than I could ever be." A swirl of cold wind whips around us, dragging the stench of decay from human battlegrounds far below. The world has grown sick with their wars, their plagues, their thirst for dominion, and yet they brand me the beast. My rage rumbles again, ancient, unstoppable, fueling a stream of black fire that pours from my jaws, bathing the clifftop in searing darkness. The Slayer does not falter. He steps through the conflagration with the blade held high, forging a path of brilliant light through my flames. My fire sputters against him, forced back by that cursed steel, magic twisted by human cunning, and an underworld pact I only half comprehend. The power resonates in my bones, telling me that this is the moment the world changes. I lash out with a wing, buffeting him against a jagged boulder. He smashes hard, dust pluming in the storm winds. For an instant, triumph flares in my chest. I rear back, exhaling in a ragged hiss, ignoring the hot lance of pain that throbs in my wounded side. A final blow, one more strike with tooth or talon, will end him. But the storm's next lightning bolt reveals him crouched, still gripping that blade. He springs forward with a roar that seems torn from the depths of the earth. My chest tightens in alarm as I see the weapon glowing, not just with human forging, but with an otherworldly aura, one that devours the darkness of my flames. In a single breath, he drives it deep beneath my scales, a searing eruption of light and agony exploding within me. I roar, louder, more desperate than any cry I have ever unleashed. My wings collapse, clawed feet scraping at the mountaintop. Blood and flames spill from my body, painting the stones in molten heat. I taste iron in the back of my throat. My vision blurs, each heartbeat echoing with a thunderous boom that distorts the world around me. He pulls the sword free, stumbling back. I see triumph in his eyes, but it is laced with horror as well, because he feels what I feel. A power far older than his forging, older than the hatreds of men. It vibrates through my scales, through the rock, through the storm. My life's essence is unraveling, and in its wake, it summons a force even I did not fully understand, the last vestige of my oath with the underworld lord. I collapse, tail thrashing weakly. My blood stains the Slayer's boots as he staggers away, shielding his eyes from the brilliance emanating from my cracked hide. I am dying, but I can still sense the hush of eternity as the pact blooms in the space between my final breaths. Ash and flame churn inside my body, expanding outward in a swirling storm that scalds the air. Through the haze of death, I remember why I agreed to this unholy covenant. Revenge. If humanity would not stop its hand in slaughtering my kind, then my demise would herald a plague that would haunt their kingdoms for generations to come. My vision fails. I see only flickers of black flame dancing across the Slayer's features, a kind of dread etched there. He realizes this was no simple kill, no easy end. He has cut down the last of my race, yes, but in so doing he has unleashed a poison upon the living that will fester in every corner of their realm. My ashes will spread, carrying the taint of the underworld, twisting souls, birthing nightmares. A final breath rattles in my throat. My heart falters. The Slayer dares a step closer, sword raised in a trembling hand, as if expecting one last strike. But I have no fire left to give. My limbs collapse and the storm rushes in, cold rain pelting my fractured scales. Everything is fading. A distant part of me sees the future as I slip into darkness, sees the human child who will one day find a piece of my shattered heart, sees the undercurrent of fate drawing him in. My vengeance will not rest. My ashes will roil across the land, and in those embers a new power will be born, the key to either saving humanity from itself or condemning it forever. I close my eyes. There is only silence. A heartbeat later, the mountain explodes in a bloom of black flame and cinder. A shockwave tearing across the cliffs, scattering my remains to the wind. Rain hisses against the embers. Far below, in villages already trembling under rumors of a new sickness, the first flakes of ash begin to fall, a slow gray drift carrying the echo of my fury. And thus I die, cursing the hearts of men, certain that my final breath will mark the world with a plague of nightmares. Let them believe they have won. My will endures in every grain of ash, and the darkness I have unleashed shall shape the fate of humankind. I am the last dragon, and my wrath is not so easily extinguished.